that your favorite team will make the playoffs or even finish with a winning record, they could easily lose more than half their games and finish in the cellar because they stink badly and haven't made the playoffs in years. Savings? Very possible. Playoffs? Highly doubtful. Switch and see if you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance and Affiliates. Not available in all states. We cannot be held liable for your favorite team's terrible and frankly embarrassing performances now or ever.
Testosterone plays a significant role in regulating fat metabolism and distribution in the body. It also helps to reduce serious health risks down the line. I'm Manny with Rock's Discount Vitamins, and we carry the highest quality natural testosterone boosters on the market. It immediately provides you with more energy, increased libido, increased metabolism, and improves your mood. With 11 San Antonio area locations, find us at rocksdiscountvitamins.com. That's rocksdiscountvitamins.com. We thank God and you for all the support.
With a true Vegas feel, the Big Blind is the premier poker room in San Antonio, featuring an upscale environment catering to players from all abilities. From high-octane tournaments or lively cash games, the Big Blind has a game for everyone, including blackjack tournaments. From the owners of the Roo Pub and the Angry Elephant, the Big Blind is locally owned and operated, offering daily cash games to daily, weekly, and monthly tournaments. Learn more online at thebigblindsa.com. The Big Blind at 281 and Redland Road.
San Antonio's Sports Star. San Antonio's Sports Center.
Dallas Cowboys defensive tackle Jordan Phillips is going on the injured reserve with a wrist injury and will miss at least 4 games. The Cowboys have signed defensive tackle Carlos Watkins to take his place on the roster, who was with the Cowboys back in 2021. The Texans are signing tight end Irv Smith and center Scott Quesenberry to their practice squad. And starting center Juice Scruggs, who missed the Bears game with a growing injury, on track to play on Sunday.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That goal is history. A walk-off home run.
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Thanks for joining me, however you may be joining, whether that is on 94.1 FM with that bold, beautiful signal. If you happen to be listening via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player at sasportstar.com, or you can always be a part of the show on our YouTube channel. We stream all of our shows live on YouTube at SA Sports Star on YouTube. Go ahead, like, subscribe, smash that like button for me. You can also comment along with the show there. Fred Records, Justin Guerrero already in the bullpen as we get you set on this hump day to get you through into the weekend or the end of the week, where hopefully we're talking about a much better weekend as it pertains to the Cowboys and everything else. Also, letting you know that in the show today, I've got tickets to go see Trivium and Bullet for My Valentine out at the Boeing Techport Center next April 16th, 2025. Trivium's coming with Bullet for My Valentine to the Techport Center at Boeing. Tickets available at livenation.com or at boeingcenter.com if you want to get them. We'll give those away a little bit later in the show, but lots to react to today from the Morning Huddle and the Blitz, as getting ready for Cowboys as always, but also getting ready for the NBA season as training camps are right around the corner. As a matter of fact, I looked in my inbox. I see that from the Spurs, I already got my credential information being requested. So that means the NBA season is right upon us. And it's going to be very, very different looking Spurs team, from Keldon wearing 0 to having CP3 on the roster, hopefully throwing a ton of lobs to Wemby. But Coach Popovich still on the sidelines. But for how long will he be there? The question remains with Pop, has the game passed him by? Was he a product of Tim, Tony, and Manu? And I think most coaches, all coaches, will tell you, yes, I'm as good as the talent around me. Look at Phil Jackson with Shaq and Kobe, with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and then his tenure with the Knicks, and completely different coaches with those organizations. And CBS Sports released a coaching tier list, and Greg Popovich not in the top 10. The Morning Huddle guys discussed Pop and what the future of the Spurs is post-Pop earlier this morning on the Morning Huddle.
But people are discussing on the Brigade Bar both sides of this. Some people saying Popovich is overrated. If he didn't find Duncan, Manu, and Tony, that he would be just another coach. And others saying, well, Duncan's one thing, but if Tony and Manu were such slam dunks, why didn't some other team get them? Everybody else had an opportunity to draft them.
Name any great coach and go, well, if he didn't have X, Belichick didn't have Brady.
If Phil Jackson didn't have Jordan, if Phil Jackson didn't have Shaq and Kobe, we'll never know. Here's what I think of it. And to me, there is a middle ground. Would Phil Jackson be considered one of the greatest coaches ever if he hadn't had Michael Jordan and Shaq and Kobe? I don't know.
I don't know, but
I'll say
won
this.
A lot of games.
I'll say this. Michael Jordan wouldn't have 6 rings if he'd never met Phil Jackson.
Truth.
Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player ever. He wouldn't have 6 rings if he'd never crossed paths with Phil Jackson.
I judge coaches on a lot of things. And, one of them is, how do you handle great players? And there's a skill, an art to that. Great players get coached differently. And Pop managed to get great players that were convinced that they were being coached differently, and they weren't. They were being coached like the other guys, although they thought they were being special, or, that is an art. A lot of guys don't have that. Being able to coach superstars is something that requires an extra that a lot of guys can't. And there's a lot of guys that would not want a superstar. I don't want a guy that's going to, that can do things that others can't. I want everybody to be able to do the things I teach them to do. Pop's been able to do both. But as with anything, and you brought Belichick is the best example. You get tied to one dude. Belichick's one of the greatest coaches to ever walk the earth. And if Belichick had been coaching in college and only had dudes for 2 or 3 years, he'd still be considered one of the greatest coaches to ever walk the earth. But Nick Saban spent some time in the NFL, and if he'd have stayed in the NFL, I'm not sure we'd be talking about Nick Saban the way that we talk about him. He found his venue where he was great. And that's where we have to get with Pop. You have to speak of him with the greatness in mind, but we also have to understand that things were put, and he got the guys he wanted. He was in the right environment. And, guess what? He's got the guys he wanted again that appear to be ready to take on exactly whatever he gives them. But when we rank these tops, it's been 30 years, and now it's time to realistically start to look at what the end is going to be. Because now all the pieces are in place. Pop, I think, believed in his soul he was not going to leave this franchise bankrupt and lost. No matter what, he was going to hang around until he left this franchise in a better place than when he found it. And when he found it, when he got here, he took over for Bob Hill. We'd lost 50 games, and he was never going to leave the place like he got here. And now the pieces are here. Not now, but 2 or 3 years from now. When I look at that list, I look at the top 20 dudes, I start looking around going, who's the fit here? Who's the guy that's going to come here? And then when you see the rankings of how and why and the comers and the risers and all that, now for me, that's like a monster job board. I'm looking at these guys like, wonder how he would fit with a Wemby idea. What does he think about a big man doing some things that Pop's now allowing Wemby to do? Will he continue that, or will he force him to do something else? I'm paying more attention to that now than the rankings.
I wonder what kind of coach they're going to look for when he decides to leave.
And I think the moment that this is a winning, competent basketball team, he will hang out the shingle. The moment he feels like this team can sustain without me. And it could happen sooner than we even believe. This year could be if Wemby shows the progress that we saw at the Olympics and continues to grow like this, we might be saying goodbye to Pop sooner than later, because the franchise will be that much better.
It looks like it won't happen because he had an opportunity to take what would be conceived as a bigger job already. But man, Dan Hurley would be a good next step for
time will tell, man.
The San Antonio Spurs coaching history.
Because you know what? I'm so glad you brought up Hurley. And I still think Bill Self's out there floating. But Hurley, when he took a smaller deal, when he took a deal that every other NBA team went, I could buy that out. Like if I really wanted Hurley, he's still available. He's still, even though he signed a contract, his buyout is low, and anything he gets from the NBA would be a raise. He is still a gettable quantity.
But would anybody, I don't know what the Lakers were looking to pay him, but there's not more of a high-profile job than the Lakers.
No, not anywhere
in the NBA. No. So I don't know what his priorities would be, but the reason why I say his name is because he is also known for coaching guys super hard. And that's why you saw me banging the table for the Spurs to draft Donovan Clingan and Steph Castle, because
they know what they're getting into.
They would know. Yeah, they would know what it was going to be like. And that's why I think it'd be such a good cultural fit. Whereas maybe he looked at the Lakers as not a good cultural fit because he wasn't going to be able to coach LeBron and Anthony Davis in the way that he would need to coach to be successful. So I don't know. I that'd be pie in the sky.
When you think about what coach would want to come to San Antonio, because there's negatives too. Because when you come to coach Wemby, you are being entrusted with probably, if not the most value, the top 10 most valuable bits of sports flesh on the planet. I mean, as far as monetary value to the franchise, to the league, to the world, to his country, this dude is a billion-dollar entity, and you are being entrusted into not screwing it up.
Yeah.
Like, don't put him in a situation where he looks bad, is pouting, wants a trade. Your team has to win.
Don't turn him into Bryce Young.
Don't ruin this guy. There's a lot of guys that don't want that. They relish the opportunity, but don't want the responsibility. And like Hurley had the opportunity to land at the Lakers, the highest profile gig. They lowballed him with pay, but he still could have been in the highest gig. And he looked at it and said, no, I don't want to deal with all the peripheral. The Spurs come with some peripheral responsibility, not so much the spotlight, but the responsibility of, it's like, whoever has to coach Arch Manning, his rookie, the responsibility of making sure that this entity turns out the way all of these investors are expecting. I mean, that is a huge thing to roll into and then go win.
Yeah.
And then let's go win and manage a salary cap and keep everybody else happy too. It's not going to be an easy job to fill. And there's going to be people that you think would want to apply for this job that want nothing of it.
I always think back to Urban Meyer when Urban Meyer took over the Jacksonville Jags, and basically they said, here's Trevor Lawrence, and he just
ruined it.
Yeah. And to be honest, Trevor Lawrence has never lived up, and I don't know how much of that's Urban Meyer's fault, but that's the concern. Is you get there, you show up, and it's like, hey, here's this thing that you can't possibly screw up. If you screw it up, boy, it really looks bad.
Well, you'll never work in this league again.
And that's what happened to Urban Meyer.
You'll never work in the league again.
We're not even going to let you finish the season.
No.
You found a way to screw up the thing that no one thought could be screwed up. You're out of here, So I get that concern as well. But yeah, I'm fascinated to see. It's not the conversation I intended to have today. But I'm fascinated to see what the next step is long-term for the
reason
Spurs.
I went there, and we didn't really want to go there, was somebody nationally, this clown, put him at 14 for a reason, because he's putting his name in play. I mean, that's all he's doing. I'm going to put the Pop name in play, because now on the very same page there at CBS, they've got the top 100 players of the risers and all that, and number one on the list is Wemby. And so you put the player number one on the list, expectations, improvement, all of that. And then you put his coach that is acknowledged the greatest coach in the world, and you're putting him at 14. So the national press is going, what are our stories going to be this year? Wemby's probably going to be number one. And if he's going to be number one, the other one will be, how long will be Pop around? So it's been thrown out there. We're starting a conversation that's going to be in play a lot, whether they're winning a lot of games or they're losing a lot of games. Who's going to be next with Pop? The one thing I would say is, no matter who you are, you don't want to be the next. I don't care whether you're Becky or you're Manu or you're What's his name that's sitting on a bench right now from the Sixers that coached for us for a minute. His assistant. Whoever it is, you ain't going to survive. You're just not.
You don't think so?
No, you don't want to be the guy to replace the guy. It never works out. When have you seen a succession of greatness where the coach left and the next coach stepped in and it just carried on? It doesn't work.
No, yeah, you're right. It's certainly rare. No, it's a tough call.
And Pop has spent the last since 2017 working his ass off to ensure that he leaves the franchise to somebody where they don't become the statistic, the guy that loses the throne immediately upon getting it, and then the next guy fixes it. He wants to make sure whoever's next gets a pretty well-made bed.
Who's your dream guy?
And this is not new for me, and I think Hurley is new into this conversation, but for the last 4 or 5 years when we talked about it, I just always felt like Bill Self at Kansas was a likely candidate, and then we had Jay Wright leave Nova, which I think is a very logical guy. I don't think we're a big enough city or market for what he wants. But the Spurs going from Buford to Pop and everybody in-house, this long kind of underground relationship with Kansas. We've always, RC's a Kansas guy, Pop coach at Kansas. Larry Brown was a head coach at Kansas. We've always had Ed Manning was an assistant coach here with San Antonio. There's this underground relationship with the University of Kansas that you don't really see above water. I always felt like Bill Self was just kind of hanging out and waiting for the gig whenever it came available. And, maybe that arc is passed for him. But I always felt like if it wasn't Self, it would be a college guy.
Remember, Bill Self's the guy who showed up after Roy Williams. So he's followed the guy before.
Yeah, and he actually made it a success. You're right. That's the guy I always thought it was, less and less. I still think if the world spun on the perfect axis for the Spurs, they would bring Becky Hammond back. I think if they could choose and everything worked right in the world, it would be Becky.
That was the morning huddle talking about Pop in the bullpen. Manny M says Pop's the GOAT. He's earned the right to walk away on his terms. Game hasn't passed him by. We tanked to get here. We will rule the NBA soon. Gilberto Padilla says Pop's going to get Coach of the Year before he retires. I don't disagree with either of those statements. And they are building this team back up, and I wouldn't be shocked to see Pop get one more ring before he retires at some point as well. And then I'm with Rob. I think the Spurs likely would reach out to Becky to see if she wants to take over from go that route. Frank Mateo says, trust the Pop cess, and Pop we trust. And that's true. We do. We trust in Pop. Don't forget, coming up a little bit later in the show, we are going to give away tickets to the Boeing Techport show April 16th for Trivium and Bullet for My Valentine. So stay tuned for that. But coming up next, we go over to the Blitz as Jason and Joe discussed the defensive line injuries and issues that we're dealing with when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys and how bad it quite potentially is, despite what we saw against New Orleans. That's coming up next here on Extra Innings with Pledger. I'm James Pledger. Don't forget, you can comment along with the show on YouTube at SA Sports Star or call in 210-656-3776.
Am I crazy, or has real estate gotten out of control lately? Between guaranteed cash offer programs and new laws about agent commissions, it's so confusing. What's not confusing is paying someone a low flat fee to sell your house. And that's where Listing Spark comes in. Listing Spark is Texas' flat fee real estate company. Flat fee selling is sweeping the nation because it takes less time and it keeps more money in your pocket. In fact, professional real estate investors and flippers have been using Listing Spark for years. With Listing Spark, you don't pay hefty agent commissions, and you don't leave money on the table with a guaranteed cash offer program. In other words, if you have a house worth $400,000, you actually sell it for $400,000, and you don't pay $24,000 in agent commissions. Doesn't that sound better? And get this, if you get started today with Listing Spark, you can list with a local brokerage for as low as $395. Call 800-MLS-LIST or go to listingspark.com. That's listingspark.com. Listing Spark. Thousands of Texan homeowners agree. Selling's better with a low flat fee.
Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is a serious heart condition. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. My HCM impacted how I felt and what I could do. So I asked my cardiologist about treatment advances that gave me new options. That conversation was big for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today and visit hcmrealtalk.com to learn more.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My wife and I always loved doing everything together. Jiu-jitsu, kayaking, and intimacy was always on point. It was around my early 30s when I noticed a downward trend. Watching a lot of TV, putting on weight, and just full of self-doubt. I had tried another men's clinic with disappointing results. It's the personalized treatment I receive at Revive Men's Health that has been the complete game changer for me. I've got my energy and motivation back. I'm feeling stronger than I did in my 20s, and it made me a much better husband to my wife.
I'm Nicole Chrysler, healthcare provider at Revive Men's Health. If you are always feeling tired or moody, have a difficult time sleeping, or decreased libido, you may be suffering from low testosterone.
Book your free T-check and exam. Call Revive Men's Health San Antonio at 210-615-7777. That's 210-615-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
If you get arrested, get out of jail fast by calling AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text bail to 474747 or online at mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you one, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans. Call 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
Before you fire up that grill, get into Tri-County Meat Market, because that great meal starts with great meat. Locally owned and full service, Tri-County has everything you need to up your grilling game. Steaks, beef ribs, pork ribs, their seasoned fajitas, chicken, poppers. Tri-County has what you need with the quality you expect. You can always take advantage of their Pick 5 special, and they always offer a 10% discount for military and first responders. 2 locations on Ralph Fair Road and on Heebner, online at TriCountyMeat.com.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Tom Kelly's carbon fiber mountain bike. Because more than riding his carbon fiber mountain bike, Tom loves telling people about his carbon fiber mountain bike. Friends, family, even a local barista knows about his carbon fiber mountain bike. And that's why Tom's carbon fiber mountain bike, if you haven't heard about it, is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
FX's English teacher. Every single one of these essays is so bad.
An F? What is this?
With grades like this, I'm gonna have to hit the corner, sir.
From executive producers of What We Do in the Shadows.
Who's running the school? Is it us or is it them?
Them.
Go sit next to Tiffany.
She told me it was offensive to learn Mandarin because you're not Japanese.
FX's English teacher is now streaming on Hulu. All new Mondays on FX.
At the Home Depot, we know Saturdays are for college football. That's why we have everything you need to never miss a play. Like North America's #1 home fire safety brand, Kidda. Because on a day full of football sounds you love, like fight songs, roaring crowds, and your favorite commentators.
Like me, Kirk Herbstreit.
The last sound you want to hear is defend your game time with Kidda and the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Based on total household installations as of December 2023.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We got Cowboys Crosstalk coming up at the top of the hour. And speaking of the Cowboys have some injury concerns and more when it comes to their defensive line, something that we thought Mike Zimmer was going to fix, and after week one looks like it had been fixed. But injuries and some subpar play last week have brought things into question. And the Blitz was talking about this earlier today as the Cowboys are dealing with the injury to Jordan Phillips, which has landed him on the injured reserve.
The Dallas Cowboys, injury says they are doing this, but Jordan Phillips, who did not have a good game and has not had a good season at this point, one of the lowest rated interior defensive linemen, injured his wrist apparently against New Orleans, it got put on the IR today. Same wrist he had surgery on a year ago. So they plucked Carlos Watkins off the Washington practice squad. He's one that went with Dan Quinn up there to Washington, couldn't make the Washington team, but was on their practice squad. Cowboys are bringing that guy back.
Well, and if you look, and Pledge actually sent this to us earlier in the week, or Monday, I think it was. There's a video of Jordan Phillips rushing the passer and getting blocked, and he's got a straight shot at Derek Carr. Now, whether he gets there or not remains to be seen, and we'll never know. But Phillips actually turns around and starts jawing and pushing the offensive lineman instead of rushing the quarterback. So it's kind of karma that guy's out. I mean, my goodness. And that's what Micah Parsons was talking about lack of effort.
And again, you think about when you watch the video, he actually does a nice job of beating the offensive lineman, but he was pushed a little bit to the outside. Derek Carr is setting up and is throwing in the area. So if he at least is rushing at Derek Carr, maybe Derek hurries the throw a little bit. Maybe, I don't know, he gets his hands up and maybe deflects a pass. You don't know, but instead, he turns around and the offensive lineman on a knee getting up and he shoves him.
Yeah.
Chicken bleed kind of play.
It was.
And again, I don't know if he realized, okay, well, I won't get to the quarterback. No sense of running, but I'm going to hit this guy that makes it look like I'm doing something. He's out. So you look through two games, the lowest defensive grade for interior defensive linemen, according to Pro Football Focus. Dude from the New York Giants is number one. He's got the lowest grade, followed by Mozzie Smith, Jordan Phillips, and Linval Joseph of the Dallas Cowboys. 3 Cowboys and a Giant make the top 4 worst graded offensive linemen or interior defensive linemen through 2 games.
Well, I guess we could say it's a big weakness for the Dallas Cowboys, to say the least. My goodness, that's not good. I mean, but again, nobody was good against the New Orleans Saints. So that a lot of those bad numbers probably came there, because I think the defensive line did a solid job against Cleveland. But it was more of a Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. The pass rushers were getting to Deshaun Watson where they weren't getting to Derek Carr. So, but hey, that defensive line better shore this thing up. They better fix something before they get into the game with Baltimore on Sunday.
Well, with Baltimore, I mean, you think about Alvin Kamara just got named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. I don't know if that's a surprise. They could have mailed him the certificate to hang on his fridge at halftime. The idea that you've got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson coming in this week. Now, Baltimore's receivers are suspect at this point. There's a lot of questions on tight end play. You go back to that opener against the Ravens, and a lot of fantasy people are like, hey, what's going on in Baltimore? And they're 0-2. They're very desperate. But what are the Cowboys? 1-5 against the Baltimore Ravens lifetime. I remember being at the stadium when they closed down the old Texas Stadium, and the Cowboys couldn't stop the run in that game. 2 of the longest runs against the Cowboys happened on that night. This week's game is concerning. And Baltimore at 0-2, very desperate.
But they've got some issues, Jason.
Yeah,
Baltimore.
they do.
Their secondary is not very good. I mean, they made Gardner Minshew look like the second coming of Johnny Unitas, for goodness sake.
Well, again, and Gardner Minshew, he's had his moments. He's not an awful quarterback, but down 10, and that's where I look at what we were talking about yesterday with the Cowboys offense. Is this Cowboys offense built for a comeback? There's been times where you've seen Dak, and you can pull up the numbers. Dak has a lot of fourth quarter comebacks and all that kind of stuff. I don't know that this offense is designed that way. If they're down 10, are they screwed? When you look at the way this team was put together, defense carries the load. This Cowboys team looks like it's built to play with a lead, not come from behind. You could see that against Cleveland. You could see that against New Orleans. This is a Cowboys team that's built to play with the lead. If, like last week, Baltimore up 10, I think they probably close out the Cowboys if they're up 10 this week. If the Cowboys are up 10, they probably are able to close this thing out.
Yeah, the Cowboys are a front runner. There's no question about that. They're a front-running team. They're guys like Parsons and Lawrence can tee off when they know a quarterback's going to have to throw the football. There's no question about that. My concern, though, I think, the Cowboys' offense, even as inept as they are, because you got CeeDee Lamb, it looks like Jake Ferguson will be back this week. After that, it's kind of suspect. But even Dak Prescott should have a pretty good day against that Baltimore secondary. If he can get some time, then I think he's going to have a decent day. So this could be one of those games that comes down to the wire. I'm just afraid that the Cowboys are going to have a hard time containing, number one, Derrick Henry, and number two, Lamar Jackson.
That was the Blitz earlier today. You can catch all of this in the audio vault powered by AA Best Bail Bonds at sasportstar.com. And remember, you can catch the Cowboys and Ravens right here on your South Texas home for the Dallas Cowboys, 941 FM, San Antonio Sports Star. Sunday, Ravens come to Jerry World, starts at 2:30 right here with the pregame. We got tickets to go see Trivium and Bullet for My Valentine, the Poisoned Ascendancy Tour, April 16th, 2025, out at the Boeing Center at Techport. If you want tickets to go see that show, be caller number 5 right now at 210-656-ESPN, 210-656-3776. Oh, too many sevens there. It's 210-656-3776. Of course, if you don't win the tickets, you can get them at livenation.com or at boeingcenter.com. Coming up next, though, Morning Huddle was discussing the benching of Bryce Young. Could it be good for him? Could he be looking for a new home? We'll get into it next right here on Extra Innings with Pledge on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
San Antonio Sports Star.
Trane heating and cooling systems are tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit TraneInfo.com to find your local independent Trane dealer. TraneInfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Don't let pain hold you back from living your best life. I'm Dr. Jason Garrett with Arasti. At Arasti, we're dedicated to providing fast, effective relief from pain. Whether you've been dealing with a chronic discomfort for years or have recently suffered an injury, our goal is to help you recover quickly. Our treatment is all natural, non-invasive, and covered by most insurance plans. With convenient locations nearby, relief is just a call away. Visit Arasti.com. That's AIRROSTI.com. Arasti, we fix pain fast.
Hey, football fans, Michael Vick here. I had an advantage. My legs were a weapon. 6,109 rushing yards, still unbeaten records. That's why I bet at BetUS.com. They offer American sports bettors an advantage. The industry's biggest bonus, a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. And get expert picks and predictions on their very own BetUS TV. Take advantage. Join me online at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. BetUS, where the game begins.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Flight by Yingling. It's the next generation of light beer. For those who don't follow trends, but craft them. Flight by Yingling is 12 ounces of uncompromised refreshment from America's oldest brewery. With only 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Don't just raise a glass, raise the bar. Flight by Yingling. Available wherever beer is sold. DG Yingling and Son Incorporated, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
George gets justice. At George Salinas Injury Lawyers, our motto is simple. George gets justice. But what does that mean for you? It means you get an award-winning team of attorneys who will fight for everything taken from you so that you can get back to what matters in life. When we say George gets justice, it's just not a motto. It's a commitment to you. Call us at 210-225-0909 or visit getgeorge.com. George gets justice.
George gets justice. GetGeorge.com.
We love high school football and a team you can always count on. Quartermoon Plumbing, Heat, and AC. Quartermoon is here to tackle the toughest challenges, from plumbing mishaps to AC troubles, with the same dedication and passion that drives a winning touchdown. Our playbook is simple: fair prices, expert service, and a commitment to local families. Quartermoon Plumbing, Heat, and AC, your winning solution for a comfortable home. Proudly serving our community with local hospitality. From the pit house to the outhouse to the schoolhouse, call Quartermoon Plumbing, Heat, and AC.
License number TACLA 141074E and 16004.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Tom Kelly's carbon fiber mountain bike. Because more than riding his carbon fiber mountain bike, Tom loves telling people about his carbon fiber mountain bike. Friends, family, even a local barista knows about his carbon fiber mountain bike. And that's why Tom's carbon fiber mountain bike, if you haven't heard about it, is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Buying or selling a home is a big deal. Literally. It's one of the largest financial transactions you're likely to make. So work with someone who will work with your best interest in mind. Someone who agrees to operate with transparency, honesty, and fairness every step of the way. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors and are bound by a strict code of ethics that requires they put your interests above their own. Because that's who we are. Make sure your agent is a realtor.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Mornings 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Congratulations to Philip. And sometimes you just can't even plan things. Philip, who won the tickets to go see Trivium and Bullet for My Valentine on April 16th out at the Techport Center. It's his birthday today. So happy birthday. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show, Philip. It's going to be a great one. I so want to get out to the Techport Center to see a show there. And I think Bullet for My Valentine might be the band that gets me out there finally. Earlier this morning on the Morning Huddle, Rob and AJ were discussing and breaking down what's going on with Bryce Young and his sudden benching and what it could potentially mean for the future of the number 1 overall pick just last season.
Called out the Panthers on how they handled Bryce Young. Haircut, Ryan Leaf.
Well, you know what? Anybody who would know what it's like to be treated like a mistake, it would be Ryan Leaf.
Now, Ryan Leaf kind of did that to himself.
No, he did. He
didn't make things easy on himself.
Oh, and he brought a lot of it on, and he was a prickly character for a long time. But yeah, I think if anybody would know what it's like to be in a situation that no matter what you do, it's not going to work out because you're not good enough. The team isn't either. And that's where Bryce found him. So
Ryan Leaf said they screwed this thing up from the get-go. I mean, this organization is horrible. This organization has done nothing to try and help and develop a player that has so much expectation on him. And so I laid this at the feet of the organization completely. I'll say this. It is very, very difficult to be the guy that they expected him to be when they've done this to him already. Like I said, we talked about this yesterday. I said I would have put him on the IR with a fake injury and like given him a chance to work through it. But it's hard to come back from this, I think, as a leader. Like when you're supposed to be the leader of the team, to come back from this, I think it's almost impossible. So
the most compelling argument I heard about how badly it was handled was Mel Kiper. And Mel brought up, and Mel's got his own opinions, and he's probably trying to back up what he said during the draft. But he brought up something that I thought was valuable in that, last year you're drafted, you get thrown into the water, and it's just that's the life of a first number 1 overall pick quarterback. Rarely do you get to sit and watch. But this year, after the debacle, and they change coaches and they change OCs and they go and get somebody. He didn't even play in the preseason. He played one series in the preseason. And then you threw him out there again with a new system and even less talent that he had last year. And you threw him back out there.
No, it is
that is the criminal offense.
It really is mismanagement.
And it is. And Bryce Young, look, you can't tell me that I was a big Bryce Young supporter going into that draft. I will sit on that L. CJ has proven that he was just that dude, and the Texans are lucky to have him. But you can't tell me that the guy who was known for his processing, anticipation, and ability to process forgot how to play football over a year. The Panthers are a horrible, horrible organization. They fired a coach 1 year in. They bring in this new guy. Like they said, no preseason for Bryce Young in a new offensive system. CJ's playing in the preseason last year and this year. So it doesn't make sense why they do that. And if you want further proof on how bad it is in Carolina, look at the success Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, both of whom were in Carolina, both of whom were failures in Carolina and thrown away, and what they've done since going elsewhere with Baker Mayfield down in Tampa Bay and with Sam Darnold now up in Minnesota, finally getting his chance to lead a team. And Baker Mayfield had some words of encouragement for Bryce Young after his benching.
Obviously, mine didn't happen in the same time frame with Bryce, but quarterback's hard, especially for young guys when you're not surrounded with the pieces that not given the opportunity to have success. And so that's a lot of the time guys have the talent, they might have the brains, but they don't have the right opportunity, the right fit. I mean, I'm sitting here right now in a way better fit than the other places I've been. And that's not to put other teams down, but it's a matter of the pieces around you, the coaches, and for Bryce, a guy that, I can relate to this, finding that belief within yourself again, and he'll get it. His story is far, far from finished.
And it is far from finished. And I do believe, given a chance and sitting and watching behind Andy Dalton could end up in the long run being the best thing for Bryce Young long term. And hopefully there's some stability for him in Carolina, because there's not in front of him on that offensive line right now. That's for sure. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. When we come back, RJ Ochoa, the managing editor-in-chief for Blogging the Boys, he joined the Blitz a little bit earlier today as the Saints have opened a lot of questions about the Cowboys, and they have a team that is very committed to running the football coming up next on the schedule with the Baltimore Ravens. What does RJ think ahead of this matchup and the injuries that are showing up on the injury report? We'll get into that next year on Extra Innings with Pledge on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Your neighbors at El Guacamole Mexican Grill on 25020 Blanco Road are ready to serve you breakfast or lunch fresh. Made to order Mexican dishes or cold drinks on tap. Order today or visit El Guacamole Mexican Grill on 25020 Blanco Road.
Am I crazy, or has real estate gotten out of control lately? Between guaranteed cash offer programs and new laws about agent commissions, it's so confusing. What's not confusing is paying someone a low flat fee to sell your house. And that's where Listing Spark comes in. Listing Spark is Texas' flat fee real estate company. Flat fee selling is sweeping the nation because it takes less time and it keeps more money in your pocket. In fact, professional real estate investors and flippers have been using Listing Spark for years. With Listing Spark, you don't pay hefty agent commissions, and you don't leave money on the table with a guaranteed cash offer program. In other words, if you have a house worth $400,000, you actually sell it for $400,000, and you don't pay $24,000 in agent commissions. Doesn't that sound better? And get this, if you get started today with Listing Spark, you can list with a local brokerage for as low as $395. Call 800-MLS-LIST or go to listingspark.com. That's listingspark.com. Listing Spark. Thousands of Texan homeowners agree. Selling's better with a low flat fee.
Imagine your team always looking and feeling their best in high-performance technical workwear. Cintas can make it happen. They have garments for almost every job imaginable. And with the Cintas Workwear program, you get freshly laundered garments delivered every week for everyone on your team. Great garments without the bother of laundry. That's a real perk for employees. Find out how Cintas can boost team image and morale. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
If you're a man and you live in or around the San Antonio area, you need to listen to this message. Do you find yourself stressing about or even avoiding intimate moments? Do you find yourself thinking, is it going to work? Does your partner look at you and ask, is it me? Did I do something wrong? Do you get frustrated when things don't live up to their expectations? Men, you're not alone, and we have a solution. For over a decade, Mojo has delivered 100% guaranteed male performance results. Mojo truly works every single time. Guys, Mojo works when all other things fail, and its proprietary formula has helped thousands of men live their best lives again. Yeah! Mojo is 100% natural, blood pressure safe, diabetic friendly, and fast acting. And Mojo is now available in both spray and capsule formulas exclusively at Pure Line Nutrition. Call Pure Line Nutrition in San Antonio today at 210-494-2210. That's Pure Line Nutrition, 210-494-2210.
Have you or a family member been arrested? The law office of Jesse Hernandez, the Texas Chancla, can help regardless of the legal battle you are facing, personal injury or criminal defense. Attorney Jesse Hernandez and his team are ready to fight for you. Calls are answered 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Call 210-807-8656 or visit jessehernandezlaw.com. That's 210-807-8656 or jessehernandezlaw.com. The law office of Jesse Hernandez, the Texas Chancla.
Good morning, Doctor. Doctor? Hi, Doctor. Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Paid for by Hims & Hers Health. Hims & Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
Everyone's talking about the breakthrough of weight loss drugs, but too few can access or afford them. Hers is changing that. forhers.com/afford. You can access doctor-trusted weight loss plans tailored to you, like GLP-1 weekly injections with the same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy or oral medications. Through Hers, treatment options can be prescribed 100% online. A medical provider on our platform can determine if a weight loss plan is right for you, and if prescribed, your personalized plan ships free directly to your door. All for as little as $79 a month with a 5-month subscription for oral medications and $199 a month with a 12-month subscription for GLP-1s. No hidden fees, no access fees, and no membership fees. Get started at forhers.com/afford. That's forhers.com/afford. forhers.com/afford.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
This is Jim Rome. Join me weekdays at noon, 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Cowboys crosstalk coming up. But earlier today, the Blitz was joined by the managing editor of bloggingtheboys.com, one RJ Ochoa, as they get ready for Cowboys-Ravens and look back at the debacle that happened against the Saints.
So many things to talk about, RJ, and it's good to see you, by the way. I was a little concerned about you Sunday night, just making sure that you were okay after that debacle at Jerry World.
Play the donkey sound effect for RJ.
I was concerned about RJ. I mean, he's a friend of mine. I was concerned for him. Just wanted to make sure he was all right.
Yeah.
The one thing that I saw today, Clarence Hill had a tweet where he had an interview with Dalvin Cook. And Dalvin Cook tells Clarence he's ready to go and is just, he's ready to get out there. But he heard from Jerry Jones that he wasn't going to play through the media. And I guess he got an education on Jerry Jones and how he does things. But what do you think? I mean, obviously the run game was non-existent on Sunday. Could Dalvin Cook hurt?
I typically object to the could washed veteran hurt, question. But as it relates to this group, really know the answer. They are quite literally the most inefficient running back room in the NFL. I wrote an article about this subject today. By any regular statistic, advanced statistic, they are really bad. There are 5 runners in the NFL, rushers, not just running backs, among qualified rushers who have met a minimum threshold, who have yet to record a run of over 10 yards. I mean, we're only 2 weeks in, but still, Zeke Elliott is one of those 5. And while I understand Dalvin Cook may be ready, the Cowboys and Jerry Jones get lumped into a lot of cliches that aren't ultimately true for people who pay attention. But one of them is that if you're on the list, you're set for life. Jason Garrett was on that list. Jason Witten was on that list. And Zeke Elliott is on that list. And this is why I never, all offseason, I told you guys, I told Rob, Rico Dowdle is going to be the guy. Zeke's just here for third downs. He's just here to pass protect. No, man. They brought Zeke back. And speaking of Rob, I was getting ready to do the morning huddle with him. That's the only reason I remember exactly when it happened. It was before 6 a.m., the very day that they could bring him back. They were hell-bent on getting this dude back because he's on the list. There is no way that they're going to let Dalvin Cook play anytime soon because he'll be better than Zeke, and they don't want their precious dude to not look like the guy.
RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com joining us here on the Blitz. All off season, running back room and stopping the run were big concerns. Kind of left us for a little bit after the win over Cleveland, although we all talked about they didn't run the ball all that well against the Browns, but stopping the run, they did not. In fact, every time I see a highlight of Dalvin Cook, the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, I have to check to make sure it's not live. Like, did he just score again? Because he made it seem that easy. What do the Cowboys do at this point with Zim and the personnel to try to stop the run with, I don't know, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson coming to town on Sunday?
Yeah, this has horror story written all over it. Like this is the scary part in the movie, right? Like you're in the theater and like the tense music is going and the person's walking down the corridor and you can just feel like the boogeyman is like you're gonna jump out of your seat even though you don't want to. That's what Derrick Henry is. Like the sins of the past few months, Derrick Henry's gonna have 200 yards. I'm so positive because that is the most Cowboys thing possible, obviously. There's nothing that they really can do. I mean, they're already down bad from an interior lineman standpoint. And today, Mozzie Smith gets nicked up, and you hope he's all right. Jordan Phillips, who knows what the hell is going on with him, whether his wrist hurts, whether it doesn't hurt. And he was their big swing. They didn't get off the couch until mid-August was when they traded for this dude. And now it turns out that wasn't the best thing you could have ever done. You can't fix this anymore. And I don't mean to just be completely and totally negative, but this is why we scream about the things we scream during March and April. And you said it, Jason. I think last week we were so desperate. I mean, just for a sign of life. We were wandering in the desert and somebody offered us a drink. right? Somebody said, I'll give a drink of this, but you got to give me 2 of those wishes. You can't just give me 1. And we lulled ourselves into a false sense of security. This is who they were. And Derrick Henry, who was willing to play for the Cowboys per reports, is going to get to be at AT&T Stadium on Sunday, and it is going to be hilarious. I'm very positive of that.
That was RJ Ochoa. To hear the full interview, go to sasportstar.com. Check the AA Best Bail Bonds audio vault. Cowboys Crosstalk coming up next, right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star, your home for the Dallas Cowboys.
San Antonio Sports Star.
My wife and I always loved doing everything together. Jiu-jitsu, kayaking, and intimacy was always on point. It was around my early 30s when I noticed a downward